Welcome back to another edition of Drop the Mitts Hockey Podcast, brought to you in partnership with Primetime Production. Today we have an awesome episode, our first goaltender ever on Drop the Mitts, the one and only Ben Gaudreau from the Erie Otters. Ben, how you doing, man?
I'm good. You?
I'm good, man. Can't complain. Happy to have you on, and like I said, our first goaltender. So we'll see how this goes, and I'm super excited about it. But
No, thank you for
um,
having me.
man, you and the boys, the Erie Otters, you guys are having an awesome year. So far you 21-11 with an 889 save percentage, 331 goals against. What's been the recipe for your success? What's been going right for you and the boys?
Yeah, I think when we play our game, when we stick to the basics that we've kind of been told to stick to and all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
it definitely helps us out. I think we have to bring it every game too. We're not a team that can kind of skate by on skill, so it's a team that has to work hard. And that's if we can do that and stick to our game plan, it usually ends up in our favor.
Yeah, man. And from what I've been reading, I mean, a lot of guys, a lot of these analysts and whatever have you, as one of the competing for OHL MVP. Like, I think that's insane, especially as a goaltender. Like, how does hearing stuff like that make you feel? Like, what do you owe that to? Obviously, you're playing insane. You're standing on your head most nights. What do you contribute that to?
Oh, I think that goes back to the team. Number one, whether it be staff, teammates, really anybody there. But at the same time, I mean, the guys that have kind of helped me throughout hockey growing up, I mean, the goalie coaches, my strength and conditioning coaches, family, all that kind of stuff. I mean, it all comes back to them, right? I mean, if I didn't have them to support me and kind of help me get to where I am, it wouldn't be possible at all.
Yeah, you mentioned, family and growing up. Who got you into playing goalie? What started that whole, the love for that position? Like who got you into playing goalie? Because you gotta be crazy. And obviously having played hockey a little bit, like man, you guys are crazy. Like,
Yeah, there's
to have pucks winging by your head, man, it's a definitely a special position. And who got you into starting playing goaltender?
yeah, there's no denying that. You got to be a special breed to do this for sure.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, I mean, I got put in hockey as a young age, like most Canadians do. I think I was like 3 or 4 when I really started skating around and playing hockey. And to be honest with you, I couldn't stand it. I didn't like skating up and down the ice. I was like, I'm not doing this. That's too much work going up and down the ice and having to do all that kind of stuff. So the other option was goalie. And I thought, this is awesome. I just get to sit here all game, make a couple saves because at that age, at the end of the day, you're not getting too many shots. And
Right.
it's pretty easy. But I learned very quickly that's not how it always is. So it was fun when I started and it was like nice and easy. And then I got into being pretty hard. And I think that challenge was also pretty fun. I mean, when you're able to kind of steal a game, stay in your head, I think that's something that ends up being pretty awesome. And those are the games that you really remember at the end of the day.
Yeah, dude, for sure. So, like, at what point in your career, playing goalie, did you kind of realize that you had a chance to like really play at a high level? And like, dude, you got drafted in the NHL. You were, one of the top goalies taken. Like, at what point did you know like you had a chance and really start to take things more seriously?
Yeah, I think I'm trying to think here. It would have been I was pretty young when I kind of started taking over games, I thought. I mean, at that age, you can kind of do it when you're younger. If you have a good
Yeah.
goal, usually you're pretty set. So, I mean, I started having some real good games, and um, my hometown team, we were a small community, so we weren't anything too special. But I was able to kind of steal some games for us, and um, there was a playoff round. It would have been like I'm trying to think, maybe like major Pee Wee when I had a real good playoff round. Our team was last place. We barely won a game all year, and we like won the first series of playoffs, which was like very unexpected. And I think that was kind of where it was like, you know what, maybe I can do something with this. The second series we got absolutely clapped, but
Yeah.
we won that first series, and it was pretty cool. So I mean, I think around then I started kind of thinking, you know what, maybe I can do this. And my goalie coach at home was kind of telling me the same thing. Like, you can probably do this if you just want to work hard and put the time and effort into it. So I mean, it started kind of picking up with seriousness around there.
Yeah, and kind of getting off track a little bit, like we've had a lot of college guys on, and they kind of talk about the difference between, Canadian junior and, the college game. what are the benefits in your eyes of playing, Canadian junior rather than in the NCAA? Because obviously, all we hear is like the perspective of the kids that choose the NCAA rather than Canadian junior. What, like, in your eyes, what are the benefits of playing in Canadian junior rather than like the NCAA?
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing is you're getting more games, and um, it's one of the best junior leagues, obviously, in the world. So
Yeah,
it's not the best. So it's very highly scouted. There's lots of attention on it. I think some things that have helped too is like in the NCAA, you don't see too much media coverage on stuff, like especially
yeah,
personally. Obviously, I'm not looking for it, so I'm not really seeing it. But I find that the OHL, I mean, whether it's very good or bad, it's making the
yeah,
headlines. So I think it teaches you kind of how to deal with that too. I mean, I had a bad start to last year, and I mean, I had to deal with some pretty bad stuff online, and I mean, I think having that stuff happen to me and other stuff as well throughout the kind of the start of my OHL career helped me in a couple different ways with different things. So I mean, I think it's one of those leagues that you have to mature fast in, and it allows you to kind of play that pro schedule, which is also nice. I know guys can make that transition to the pros a little bit easier.
yeah,
I think in college they're playing like 30 something games, and in the OHL we're playing almost 70, right? So it's
yeah.
a little bit different, and we're playing a lot, and it's a pro schedule. It's busy, it's tough, but it's what gets you ready for the next level and kind of lets you know if you're ready to do it or not.
Yeah, good point that you bring up, the bullshit that you see. Because, like, again, not all athletes are immune. Like, they see the BS that goes on online, especially as a goaltender, being kind of like the focus is on you. How do you kind of filter out, the good and the bad? Mostly the bad, right? I mean, when
Yeah.
things are good, they're good. But, you mentioned you went through a little bit of adversity. How do you kind of filter that out and stay focused and play your game?
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna get stuff. I mean, World Juniors, my first game there didn't go my way. And the DMs I got, I mean, they're not even like eligible to read on online. Um, whether it was like death threats or like you should quit hockey, like all this kind of stuff. So it's stuff you just got to kind of almost take with a grain of salt because at the end of the day, I mean, I like to think of it this way: if they went and tried to do what I just did, it would have been 10 times
Yeah.
worse. So
Yeah.
it's kind of funny. I mean, most of the people that do that too are the kind of people that are sitting down in their basement and they got Cheeto dust on their fingers and they're wiping that off so they can type the message
They're
out. And
sitting in mom's basement.
exactly. So
Yeah.
it's stuff you gotta take with a grain of salt. But I think with some younger kids, it can definitely hit them pretty hard.
Yeah.
I think when you're 16, 17 at the start of the league, that's when it's kind of the worst. I mean, I obviously here we have Matthew Schaefer who went first overall in the OHL draft and is an unbelievable defenseman. And I think he was getting pretty hard on himself there because he wasn't happy with how he was playing. But I mean, you look at it, the kid's 16, he's an unbelievable defenseman, and he
Yeah.
night in, night out shows that. So I mean, you're gonna be hard on yourself, but you got to try to kind of make yourself be kind of the hardest critic. And if you're gonna let those other people get to you, it's gonna be a long career at the end of the day. I mean, there's always going to be somebody that says you suck. You're never going to have everybody there that's going to be your number one fan. So I think it's just trying to kind of forget about it, move on. I know at World Juniors, I kind of grabbed my whole folder of social media apps and threw them to the back of my phone and forgot
Yeah.
about them for the couple weeks that I was there. Um, Once I stopped playing there and they kind of started rolling the other goalie, it made it pretty easy to go on social media because I wouldn't have to worry about it. If he played bad, I mean, it wasn't me, right? So
Right.
I didn't hear too much after that game. But no, I mean, it's not the end of the world. I mean, I think because of me getting lit up after World Juniors, I got verified on Instagram. So I mean, jokes
Hey.
to them.
Yeah.
It helped me out a little bit. So I mean, there's benefits to it as well. I mean, you gotta learn how to deal with that stuff. I mean, you're gonna face like bullies, I guess, in life, and you're gonna have people saying stuff. You just gotta kind of move on past it and just try to be stronger than them.
Yeah, the people that oftentimes say that kind of stuff are the people that would never say that to your face. They got to hide behind the
Exactly.
screens, right? And another perfect example of that, a World Junior teammate that you had, Connor Bedard, like he's a perfect example. Like, he's been in the media, he understands. Like, I can't imagine the amount of hate that kid's gotten, like, constantly being in the news, and
Oh,
it just I feel like that's also like a really different piece, I guess, as far as like NCAA and Canadian junior. You guys are so used to this, whether it's good, bad, you guys are
yeah,
always, in the headlines. Like college, I mean, no one, you play once a week, and, by the next week, it's like everyone forgets about it, right?
exactly. No, 100%. I mean, we can have 3 games in a weekend,
Yeah.
4 games in a week, even 5 sometimes. I mean, we just came off of something. I think it was like 10 games in 7 days or something. Like it was,
Yeah,
or not
dude, that's
7 days, sorry.
insane.
It was 7 games, 10 days. That's what it was.
That's
And it
insane.
was like it's insane, right? So I mean, there's weeks like that, and then there's weeks too where I mean you play 2 games. So it kind of goes around, but I mean, yeah, people definitely don't forget here. I mean, it's especially in Erie, it's a great hockey town here, and we have a lot of fun, and we got great fans, and it was the same in Sarnia. So I mean, I've been pretty lucky with where I've landed in junior hockey. I mean, um, at the end of the day, like I said too, there's also some amazing fans where you could go out there and let in 20 goals, and they'd still tell you you're the best goalie in the world. So
Yeah.
I mean, there's both sides of it, right? And those people will be there through thick and thin, which is always nice as well.
Yeah, you bring up your time in Sarnia as well, and that kind of leads into my next question, which, towards the tail end of 2023, traded to Erie from Sarnia. What was that transition like? Obviously, you had an unbelievable career in Sarnia. Everyone there loved you. How have you gotten acclimated to life in Erie, and what was that transition like for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely weird at first. You never really know what's going to happen once you're an overager, and we had pretty good idea that they might try to move me, but the talks that I had with them didn't seem like it was going to be that quickly.
Yeah,
Um, so it was definitely a little bit of a surprise. But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, Erie's organization is just top notch. Like our owner here, Jim Waters, is an unbelievable guy. Um, he really makes it his goal to treat us like gold. So it's pretty awesome being here. I mean, they treat us, like I said, unbelievable. We get what we want. It's unbelievable. It's truly a first class organization. So the move's been pretty smooth. I mean, I got lucky. My billets here have been amazing too. I've been pretty lucky with that in my career. I went from one good
yeah,
billet to another. So it's pretty awesome. I mean, the city of Erie, I'll be honest, is pretty much just like Sarnia, just a little bigger, with a better mall. So there's nothing wrong with that.
nice.
And
There you
there's no
go.
tax on clothes in Pennsylvania too. So I mean, there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that either. But no, it's been a lot of fun here. It's a good group of guys, good billets, good team oriented stuff. So it's a lot of fun to be here. And I mean, I wouldn't change it for the world.
And talking about, your new teammates, just to name a couple, you mentioned Schaefer, you got Malcolm Spence as well, who's, he's probably going to be a top 10 pick next year in the NHL draft. What is it like playing? Obviously, they're younger. What's it like being able to play, behind those guys and see what they do on a nightly basis? I mean, being young kids, I mean, they're incredibly talented playing in the OHL. What's it like playing with those guys?
Yeah, no, it's pretty awesome. I mean, gotten pretty close, especially with Shafes.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he had a lot of the same stuff that I kind of went through. So I mean, he's been able to kind of relay that stuff off of me, and I knew him and Malcolm a little bit before I got here. So, um, I mean, I sit beside Malcolm in the room and across from Carrie Terrance. So I mean, we got those two
Yeah.
guys who are like a married couple, which is pretty fun.
Right.
But no, there's some unbelievable skill on this team, and it's quite fun to watch. I mean, when you can see a guy like Malcolm go flying down the wing or Carey go flying down the wing and make the other team's goalie, it just looks stupid. It's not even his
Yeah.
fault. Like it could be, you could have some of the best goalies in the world in there, and they still just find a way to put the puck in the net, and it's pretty special. I mean, the passing plays that they can do. Um, you look at some of those guys, and you can just see the NHL skill written all over them. I mean, another one that gets kind of forgotten, I think, a little bit is Pano Fimis too.
Yep.
Was a
Yeah.
second overall pick, and this guy
Yeah.
is he's unbelievable. I
I
mean,
forgot about, yeah.
yeah, if you want to win a draw, you put him out there. I mean,
Yeah.
he's the best in the league at it, and he shows continuously as well. And I mean, another guy I knew before I got here too. So he's my roommate on the road as well. So we have some pretty good times. And but yeah, I mean, I can go on and on about
Yeah.
who's unbelievable on this team. There's so much skill and talent. But yeah, I mean, if they continue, I mean, it's going to be pretty awesome to see what they can do in the future.
Yeah, you mentioned you were one of the older guys, like especially having these young guys come in who are obviously incredibly talented, but not all of the game is on the ice, right? Like there's a
Yeah.
lot of mental things that go on off the ice. It's a new situation for a lot of these guys. You being one of the older guys, like what's usually one of your biggest pieces of advice to these guys, just as far as like kind of transitioning to this new life. Obviously, Canadian junior is some of the best hockey on the planet, right? And like, what's your piece of advice to these kids that come in?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, I mean, the end of the day, I mean, you can go out there and have a bad shift or let a bad goal in. You got to find a way to bounce back, because the game doesn't stop moving. It doesn't
Right.
let you sit there and kind of rethink your decisions. And I mean,
Yeah.
you can't go back and change what's happened. So you just got to keep on pushing, try to stay as positive as possible. I mean, if you can do that, I mean, I think good things happen. I think the biggest thing is 90% of the guys in this league, if not more, well, probably 99% of the guys in the league belong to be here off of skill alone. Um, that mental edge, I mean, is what's going to give you that next level. Um, I mean, you can attest to it, I'm sure. I mean, I've seen so many guys that have the skill, and they just don't make it because they just can't
Yeah.
get over the fact that they had a bad shift or something like that. So I mean, it's the one thing I try to push on them. And I mean, at the same time, you got to be a good guy. I mean, when you talk about like junior hockey, I mean, you get some kids that are pretty young and immature, and they got to mature fast. And
Yeah.
you don't you don't want to be out here being the guy that leaves his stall messy or goes to the kitchen and leaves that messy. So I mean, I think it's something that I try to kind of preach that as well. I mean, it's not all about being a great hockey player. At the end of the day, you want to make those relationships because at the end of the day, those might be more important down the road, and those might be what kind of gets you your job or gets you within the league and gets you that kind of boost.
Yeah, and even you mentioned earlier too, another big piece of growing up, right, is being a part of a billet family.
Yeah,
I've talked to, I mean, man, we're 33 episodes into this thing, and most of them have been junior guys or national development guys who kind of go into new families and stuff. Man, talk to us about your time with your billet families. Like, have you overall had a good experience? Like, I've heard a couple where it's like complete nightmare, like, and
yeah.
you never want to hear that kind of stuff because it just makes it that much more difficult to adjust. How has
No,
your experience been with the billet families you've had?
no, it's been awesome. I mean, my billets in Sarnia, they had a son who was, I guess he'd be like Schaefer's age, so a couple years younger than me,
Yeah,
right? So he was a lot of fun to joke around with. We'd be going at it with each other all the time, and um, they were just an unbelievable family. I mean, we go golfing together, all that kind of stuff. We'd go out on the boat to pick them up in the summer there when it was warm enough. I mean, obviously, you ain't
yeah,
doing that in January or
right.
December or anything
I
like
hope
that. But
not.
no, they were an unbelievable family there. And then I come here, and it's just a husband and wife here, and the dog. Can't forget the dog. They got a pit bull here, which is
There you
awesome.
go.
It's a lot of fun here. They're really, really easygoing people. They made me feel at home within 5 minutes of being here, so it's pretty awesome. And I got a pretty good setup here too. I got an awesome room. I mean, the house is awesome. Bill Mom makes probably some of the best food I've ever had in my life too. So
That always helps, man.
some weight up too, which is awesome. But
Yeah.
no, it's an awesome family here, and I've been very lucky. I mean, is the best way to say it throughout the OHL career with who I've gotten with billets. I mean, my billets drove me up to Sarnia there because I'm out right now with a little bit of an injury, so I was able to
Yep.
drove me up to Sarnia for my little night there that I had, and dropped me off to my parents, and they stayed for the billet or for the ceremony and everything too, so they got to meet my old billets too. So it was pretty cool. I mean, I'd be able to do that and have that kind of memory will be something that I'll remember for the rest of my life.
Yeah, man. Talk to us about that night because even I got to watch a little bit. It was stream. I got to watch a stream a little bit. I got to see the ceremony. Your dad posted the whole thing, which was
Yeah.
awesome. I got to see the whole thing on Facebook. Talk to us about that. Your return, man. Like the emotions you must have been feeling. Like what was that night like? Just an incredible. It just goes to show how well how loved you were there, and take us through the emotions of that night.
No, it was awesome. I mean, it was something that I've been looking forward to for a long time. So to have the chance to go back and do that was pretty awesome. Was definitely scary going out there and having to do the speech. When you're
Yeah.
out there, I mean, you never like, especially my rookie year. We saw the guys do speeches and stuff like that, but my rookie year, we weren't that good of a team. There was maybe 2,000 people in the crowd. Over my time there, we've really grown into a great team, and the fan base has really come around that team. So even though I don't even know if I don't think they're in the playoff spot right now, but they still basically sell out that rink every day. So,
Yeah.
I mean, there's almost 5,000 people there, and it was, I, at the same time, I couldn't even take the moment in really, but it was pretty awesome. I mean, it was a lot of fun. And, um, when I went up to go and see everybody, it was pretty awesome to do that too. I mean, just their love and respect from them, it was pretty awesome to see. And it was definitely an honor to be out there doing that. I mean, it's definitely something cool, and like I said, it's something I won't forget for sure. It's something that I'll remember for the rest of my life.
Yeah, man, it was incredible to see. I was so happy for you, and obviously well deserving. Kind of to transition a little bit, like we've had a few conversations, before this, trying to set something up. Super normal guy. I think goalies sometimes get a bad rap of being, these just bizarre, just like out of this world. Um, do you have any odd like pregame things that pregame, I guess, rituals or whatever that you do to kind of prepare for games? Like I said, man, like we see like guys like Devin Levi, obviously they have
Yeah,
their things that they do. A guy like Jordan Bennington, who's just a
yeah.
complete hothead. Like, well, like, do you have any odd like pregame rituals that you do, or even
Not
throughout the game?
Yeah, not too many to be honest. I think the only one that I'd say is considered weird because my billet mom saw me doing it and she goes, "That's weird. Like you can't do that. Like that's weird." Was like the DUI test. I'll like kind of like just so I can see like get
Oh,
my eyes going. But that's what she calls a DUI test. So now it's kind of how I'm calling it. But it's yeah, I do that just to get my eyes kind of warmed up and get them going. But other than that, I mean, I've been told by lots of guys too, I'm the most normal goalie they've ever met.
yeah,
So
dude, 100%.
I know some that are weird, and there's no denying that. I can't stick up for all of them.
Right.
Um, I always tease my goalie partner in Sarnia. I was like, you're the reason we're called weird, right? Like that's totally on you. But no, I mean, there's some guys that definitely do some weird things, but I try to keep it pretty normal. I mean, I also don't like to overcomplicate myself before a game. I mean, you got enough going on. The last thing you want to do is confuse yourself with your rituals, right? So
Yeah. So I was going through your elite prospects and all that, obviously reading all these stories. I want to talk about the World Juniors. You had brought it up earlier, the death threats and whatnot. Um, you got to play with some unbelievable guys on that roster. I mean, I was looking up and down that roster, and even to just name a couple, like I'm missing so many guys, but Bedsy, Fantilli, Korchinski, Wright, Brant Clark, like those just guys playing in the
yeah.
NHL right now. Um, just to name a few. What was it like, playing with those guys? And obviously you guys won gold. And what was it like watching those guys do what they do? I mean, they're some of the best players on the planet right now.
No, it's awesome. I mean, I've played with them a couple times there. I've been lucky for that. Some of them I've played with since U17s to U18s to the U20s there. So, I mean, I've had my fair share of getting to play with those guys and getting to know a lot of them. Shaner and I have played together probably since we were like 13, 14, to be
Yeah.
honest. So I've got to really know him pretty well and his family. We're still pretty close with them. I know my mom talks to his mom quite a bit. So, you get to make those lasting relationships, which is it's honestly better than getting to play with those guys on the ice. And I mean, you may be looking at me like, what the heck? You get to watch that. But those moments are awesome. But getting to know those guys personally and know how good of guys they are is pretty special too. I mean, I think the one big one that everybody keeps talking to me about is like when Bedard went like end to end at U18s and then did this backhand like bar down from the top of the field. And it was ridiculous. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, he's also the best guy in the world, right? He's an
Right.
unreal guy. He's a quiet guy. You wouldn't expect it because I mean, at the end of the day, he's probably been being told since he was 5 years old that he's the best player in the world. So I mean,
Right, dude.
he's he keeps it. He's very humble, and he's an awesome guy. And I mean, that's kind of how they all are, to be honest. I mean, um, one of my best friends who I still talk to is Wyatt Johnston, who's playing in Dallas, and he's doing unbelievably. So,
Yeah.
but again, just like the nicest guy in the world. I mean, he had family. He has family up in North Bay where I'm from, so he was up there this summer, and he had a fishing trip playing with his family, and he offered for me to go out on it too and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I was busy that day, and to be honest, I was kind of thankful because it was like a 6 a.m. like get on the boat,
Oh
so
man.
that would have been a tough one to wake up for. But
Yeah.
I mean, the thought was there, right? I mean, he's
Yeah.
out there invited me to go do stuff with his family, so I mean, it's been lucky. I've been very lucky over the last couple of years of who I've met and who I've got to play with, and um, the same as when I go to like the NHL camps. I mean, you get to meet those guys and have sit down conversations with those guys.
Yeah.
It's pretty special. Um, it's pretty cool.
It's funny you bring up, a guy like Shane, and I feel like, I feel like we don't always get the full story, right? I feel like a lot of people have kind of made up their own narrative about him. And obviously, you mentioned taking things with a grain of salt, and I kind of do the same. Like, what kind of guy is Shane? Like, obviously,
Yeah,
the night he got drafted, there was that whole thing. He was staring down and he even came out and was like, "No, I literally was just like looking out in the crowd." Like, what kind of guy? You mentioned you were close with him. Like, what kind of guy is he? And obviously, I just feel like the narrative out there isn't true at all, like of
yeah.
who he is as a person. I mean, he's been given a letter pretty much everywhere he's gone, right? He's been the
No,
captain.
100%. And there's a
So
reason for that, like you've said. Like, I mean, um, I think like to me, he's always been the best guy. Like he's the guy that right away he'll be like, "Hey Benny, how's it going?" and come up and give me a hug. Like like he's an awesome guy. He really is. Like I said, I mean, I think the media can find a way to twist and turn things, and that's kind of their job at the end of the day. So you can't even really be mad at them. They want to make a
right.
story and they want something that people are
Yeah.
gonna be interested in. So it's what they do. I mean, it's not always fair. I don't think, but um, yeah, a guy like Shanner's an unreal guy. He's the kind of guy that would do anything for his teammates, anything to win. Um,
Mhm.
he's accepted roles where he's been, and I mean, I think he works to the best visibility of what he can do. I mean, he's taken a lot of hate over the last probably 2 years or so, and
Yeah.
which I don't think is fair at all. He's an unbelievable player, unbelievable person, comes from an unbelievable family. So it's something that it sucks to see. But I think he's pretty good at putting it to the side.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been in the lights since he was like 10. Again, another guy like that. So
Similar to Bedsy, man.
yeah,
Like same
exactly.
thing.
Exactly. So he's been able to kind of push that to the side and just focus on what's the task at hand. I think he's done a great job at that. And I'm sure he'll be playing full-time NHL or putting up points in no time. I mean, he's a great guy. He deserves it. He works his bag off too. So, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure he'll be coming soon.
Yeah. And going back, even to your U18 year, man, unreal tournament that year for
Yeah.
you. 220 goals against average, which was best in the world juniors, right? You won best goalie, save percentage 919, and most importantly, you won gold, which was unreal run. Talk to us about that team. Little bit different. You had a couple different guys on there. Mason McTavish was on that team, and then again, you mentioned Wyatt Johnston, Brant Clark, Bedsy again. What was that run like? Because you stood on your head, man. Like unbelievable tournament. What was that
Yeah.
tournament like?
That was unbelievable. We had a team. I mean, my stats are a tribute to that team. We were head and heels over almost everybody except for Russia, where we played them in the
Yeah.
finals, and that was a pretty close game. But no, it was unbelievable. I mean, that's where I met a lot of those guys. I mean, I played with a lot of them before that too. Got pretty close with Mason McTavish there. So I mean, when I was in San Jose, we'd always play at Anaheim at the prospect tournament, so we'd always say
Yeah.
hi to each other there and all that. But no, that team was unbelievable too. I mean, there's like Olin Zellweger was there too. I mean, another great
Oh,
defenseman.
he's
Grant,
yeah,
like you
he's awesome
mentioned,
too.
who just scored his first NHL goal the other day. So
Yeah.
it was an unbelievable tournament. We had a really good group of guys there, which they came close. Like we were really close to day one. Like it was unbelievable how close we were there. So that tournament was a lot of fun. And because of COVID too, I got my own room because I didn't want goalies getting sick. So I had my own
There you
room,
go.
king size bed, big flat screen TV. I couldn't have asked for a
Oh,
better
you were
life.
living the life, man.
Yeah, they'd bring you your meal right to your front door. It was unbelievable.
You're like, man, I might never leave here.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a lot of fun. I mean, like I said, a good group of guys, good coaching staff, uh, good like staff overall. I mean, it was the same as World Juniors with that kind of regard. We got some unbelievable guys, different guys, but unbelievable guys, and it was a lot of fun. And again, lasting relationships for sure.
Yeah, and and kind of to transition again a little bit. I was looking up different scouting reports on you and see what people had to say about you. And the most consistent thing that I saw about your game, quick, incredibly athletic goaltender. I'm curious in your own eyes, like what your biggest strengths are, in your eyes, and what are some areas that you've kind of been focused on improving throughout your game.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I was pretty lucky to deal with Tampa this year, where they kind of gave me some stuff to work on. So like the biggest thing I think is body positioning that I'm trying to continue to work on. It's something that when you're a kid, you don't really hear too much about. Well, when I was anyways, now they put more emphasis on it. So I guess I'm too old to learn that when I was young, but
Right.
um, I mean, I think that's the one thing that I've really kind of dialed in on and tried to perfect that. But I think when it comes to like what I'm good at, I think I had lots of talks with them about just being good at stopping a puck. It's the one natural thing that I can kind of do. If I'm in the right spot and set, I'm most likely making that save unless I somehow can't see it. So it's something that, yeah, I've been lucky and kind of gifted with, I want to say, to be honest. I mean, lots of repetition, obviously, but um, I think that's kind of the one natural thing that I've really been good at, and I've had to work on over the last little bit is that. But I think it's yeah, I mean, I think those are two things that I'd say kind of are hand in hand too. So I mean, if I can continue to improve that body position, and then making the saves becomes easier, right? So
Yeah.
it's two things that go hand in hand, and if I can keep continuing that, I mean, it'll be pretty awesome, and hopefully I can be successful with that.
Are there any guys, playing in the league now that you kind of see a little bit of yourself in, or guys that are playing now that you try to emulate your game after?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, again, I mean, throwing it back to Tampa, I was able to kind of look at the way they structure their goaltenders and stuff like that. So it was cool. I mean, obviously, I'm not Vasilevsky. I'm not 6'5", 6'6". I'm not going to
Right.
be that. I can't be that guy. Just it's impossible. But yeah, I mean, I try to throw it back to a couple guys. I mean, there's somebody that oh yeah, well, the best kind of like thing that like my agent said to me is you're kind of like Grant Fuhr. He goes, your numbers might not be the best, but you get the job done, and that's kind of how it's been. For most of my life. I've never been the guy that gets the 925 save percentage with a
Right.
2.1 goals against average or anything special like that. But I've been a guy that gets the wins, and
Right.
that's I might not have his play style. Hopefully, I think it's a little outdated now. I mean, he was a great goalie then, but it'd be tough now to kind of get away with that style. But I mean, I think guys like that. I mean, the one comparison I had was Marc Andre Fleury, which I thought was really cool. Because that's somebody that I mean, you look at him,
Pretty good comparison.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's pretty awesome. So I mean, for somebody to say that was pretty cool. I mean, we're about the same size, so that's somebody I could try to emulate as well. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool to kind of bounce around a couple ideas. I mean, I like to take stuff from different guys and throw them in, and um, like watching like a guy like Thatcher Demko, the way he skates and
Yeah.
moves it's extraordinary to be
Having
honest.
an unbelievable season this year too.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, you if you really dial in on how he performs, it's pretty special. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, man, I want to talk to you about draft day because I always love hearing the different stories about, and it's usually always the same reaction, right? Like
Yeah,
just unbelievably just crazy moments for all you guys that get drafted. But you're selected in the third round, fourth goaltender taken, which is
yeah,
crazy. Like that's you're the best of the best at that point, right? Sebastian Kosa, Wallstedt, and Kolosov go in front of you, which I mean, those are all four of you are, ton of potential. Talk to us about what you remember from that day, and celebrating with your family, friends. What it was, what you were feeling when you heard your name called.
yeah. I mean, it was a stressful day. I think my latest ranking was 62, and I went 82, I believe. So I fell 20 from my latest ranking. So after I kind of got out of that 62, I started stressing a little bit. I won't lie. Like you start seeing that, you're like,
Yeah.
oh Christ, like what's going on here? I'm falling real down the chart. So I kept on going. So when I got drafted, it was funny because I think there was a YouTube video after where I was doing an interview. They're like, he's so calm, like poised, ready to go. This is exactly what you need. And I was sitting there going, and the reason I was so calm is I was like, this is finally over. Thank God.
Right.
It was one of those days where it was just it kept going. I was
Yeah.
like, holy smokes, like I'm not getting drafted. And you start overthinking it and all that. So it was a relief once I got drafted more than anything, to be honest. It was like, "Holy, I'm finally done with this. I don't have to
Yeah.
worry about it anymore." So it was pretty awesome to have that day, though. I had lots of family and friends over, even though technically really wasn't supposed to because it was right during COVID.
Right.
Um, but no, it was awesome. It was a lot of fun, and I'm definitely happy I don't have to sit in that anymore. I can promise you that. But the moment definitely won't be forgotten.
And were there any teams that you ultimately went to San Jose, you got traded, like were there any teams that you like seriously thought like, oh, I'm going here, like, were there any teams that gave you like serious hope that, like if you're there when we're picking, like we're taking you?
Yeah, there's a couple teams that texted my agent and goalie coach in Sarnia at the time. The two of them, and they both said, "We'll take him if he's here." And it was a second round pick, so I'm like, "Okay, that's perfect." So we get there, and I'm like ready to go. I'm like ready to jump out and be all excited, and then they take somebody else, and then they take somebody else, and it was like, "What
Yeah.
the heck's going on?"
Oh,
And the one
yeah.
had 3 picks in the second round, I think it was something like that. So I thought, okay, 100%, I'm going here. Like they got 3 picks, like they'll save a pick
Right.
for sure. And all 3 picks, they picked somebody else. So it was it was definitely one of those ones where you're like, "What the heck's going on?" So that was another one where it was like, "Did they hear something bad? Did I do something?" I'm, like, trying to think of, like, something that I did, and I'm like, "Nope, I didn't do anything. So what's going on here?"
Yeah, you're like
Uh,
thinking back to like friggin'
yeah,
elementary school. You're like, oh, I
exactly,
don't think I did anything.
exactly. So it was something that I was a little it was stressful, but I mean,
Yeah.
I definitely didn't think I was going to San Jose, which I was happy to go there. Their management when I got drafted was unbelievable. They were really good guys, the Wilsons. Um, they've continued to contact me, and um, I mean, I've heard even now they've said nice things about me now, so it's pretty awesome to have that.
Yeah.
Um, and then Marchment, who was there, who passed away. He
Yeah.
was he was an unbelievable guy. He was probably one of the reasons I got drafted there. He was very in my corner. I remember at camp, he'd always come up to me and talk to me and talk about fishing because he was from up north a little bit too. So we'd always be
Yeah.
talking fishing and stuff. So there's guys like that who made it very enjoyable. And it was a lot of fun to be there with them.
Yeah, man, you mentioned he passed away, or that's so sad, man, because everyone had nothing but great things to say about him.
No,
Obviously, Mason's still playing in the league, just
yeah,
incredibly sad. Um, throughout your draft process, it was a little bit unorthodox. Did you any like odd questions asked to you by GMs or scouts or whatever? You hear these stories about comparisons of like animals and all sorts of like weird shit, whatever. But did you have any like bizarre questions asked to you?
I had that animal one. I forget what I said. What animal would you compare yourself to on and off the ice? So it was very like off the ice. I'm like, what the heck? But then I was like, on the ice, you want to kind of be like that mean, like tough
Yeah.
player. So I'm like, holy Christ! I'm like running things through my head trying to like think of this. But other than that, to be honest, there wasn't too many. Um, there was one weird call with a team where they had us fill out a questionnaire, and it was like they made us do it on Zoom. And there was another guy that I was doing it with, and I kind of knew him, kind of didn't, because he played for North Bay, who was in like where's my hometown. So I got to
Right.
know quite a few guys off of that team. So the two of us were sitting on there, and we both were kind of like, because like it was like we both had to like click the answer so that the next thing it could move on. But we didn't want to like you didn't want to seem stupid. So you're trying to get the answer done. And like after the call, I guess he texted like my buddy that I was really close with on North Bay and goes, Benny was going so freaking fast. I felt like such an idiot. Like but I was going fast. I thought he was going fast. So we
Right.
were both, it was pretty funny. Like but it was definitely like a weird circumstance for sure.
Yeah, man. I always love hearing those stories. Like, man, a lot of the people that I've had on, like, they always bring up the I can't remember who it was I think it was Detroit or Tampa when Stevie Y was there and asking them about smoking pot or whatever.
Yeah, I heard he was pretty aggressive with
I
that.
can't
I
even
never got
remember
that,
who.
but I mean there's teams that asked about it, but nobody grilled me like that.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think of my Detroit interview. Or I think it was my LA interview was real like intimidating because they had like their entire staff on there. So it was like me and 20 staff members, and it was like I'm sitting
All
on this
friggin'
like
staring at you.
well, I had to change my because like you got the Zoom screen, right? And you can have all these
Yeah.
different pictures if you want, or you can slim it down to like just yourself. So I slimmed it down just to myself. So I was looking at myself the whole time because I was like, I'm like, there's no way I can do this looking at 20 people. Like it
Dude,
was
I'd
just
I'd
crazy.
be yeah, my brain would be all over the place. But you know, I wanted to bring up development camp because obviously you've had the opportunity to go to, you know, a couple at this point. Um, you know, especially this past development camp this past summer, you lit it up, man. Like I was following the socials for Tampa, and you know, it's Ben Gaudreau making unbelievable save here. So you know, you're kind of a seasoned vet at this point, right? And I want to know, like, what are your biggest takeaways as far as like on ice stuff, and especially like off the ice stuff? Because I know guys
Yeah.
harp on, you know, you guys get a lot of information as far as like diet, nutrition,
Yeah.
you know, you get talked to by veterans and, you know, past players. Like, what are your biggest takeaways for stuff both on and off the ice?
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest, Tampa, I mean, there's a reason they're a good team year in, year out. I mean, when we went in there, the guy, one of their strength coaches goes, "What do you do for warm up, like pregame warm up?" And I showed him a couple things, and he goes, "Okay, go do a lunge for me." And I do the lunge, and he goes, "Okay, now try this," and like rearranges how I'm doing my lunge, completely changes the lunge. I can barely stand up. So it was like there's little things like that where them just showing you different exercises and stuff and how you're doing stuff wrong where you thought you were doing it right your whole life. It was pretty cool to be honest. I mean, all that
Yeah,
little stuff, but same time, I mean, um, the guys there were just unbelievable. The one day, like my roommate, Lucas Hano, and then another guy from North Bay, actually, Lucas Edmonds, and
yeah,
we all went out and rented Sea-Doos, and we were out there ripping around. But we rented them from Chernak's buddy. And Chernak pulled up, remembered all our names,
that's
talked to all
unreal,
of
dude.
us. The next day, I was sitting on the bench, and he goes, "Hey Benny, how'd you like those skis?" And I was like, "Oh, they were awesome. Like they were a lot of fun." And I was talking to him about his because he pulled up on his, and I was like, "That's pretty sick. Eh? That's a top
Yeah,
model, all that." And he goes, "Yeah." But my favorite part about it though is I like the color because it matches my G wagon, and it was just one of those things that was
it's such a
it was like you're so rich, man. Like
yeah, like
you're matching your jet
you're
ski
just
with
like,
the G
oh,
wagon. But it was no,
that's so
he was
sick.
just an unreal guy. And I mean, when you see something like that, where a guy like that can remember your name the next day, I
Yeah,
mean, it shows you how good of people they are. And I mean, Hedman came up to me, was talking to me, knew exactly where I played in Sarnia. Um,
that's so sick, dude.
Stamkos, same thing. I mean, it was pretty cool to be able to do that. So they were great guys there. Getting to play with them. I forget who it was. I want to say it was Tyler Mott came up to me, and we were in the middle of a scrimmage, and he goes, "I don't know how old you are. I don't really know who you are. I'm going to be honest, but you're playing hella good. Like keep it up, man." it
Yeah, that's
was
so
pretty
sick.
funny, and it was pretty awesome. I mean, there's great guys like that that just they make it fun to go to the rink, right? So it's
Yeah,
guys like that. I mean, I was getting to practice with the number one power play unit for them too, so that was pretty cool. I'm playing rebound a bit against some of them. I
yeah,
beat one of them in a game of rebound, and I don't think I'll ever let that go down. That was probably the coolest moment of my life.
right.
But yeah, I mean, it was just I think, like I said, I mean, just getting to know those guys and how nice of guys they were off the ice is definitely something. I mean, if Steven Stamkos, who's going to be a Hall of Famer, can be nice to you, you can be nice to somebody. Like it's not that
Absolutely,
hard.
man.
So I think just seeing how good of guys they were and how, like I said earlier about cleaning up your mess. I mean, they didn't leave their plates and dishes after a team meal. They'd make sure they grabbed their dishes, threw them where they were supposed to go, and all that. So it's pretty cool to see that.
I think that's the beauty of hockey though, man. Like even it doesn't matter how much money you make, how
Yeah.
successful you've been in the league. I just feel like the vast majority of guys you meet are just normal guys. Like they just want
Oh,
to be treated
100%.
like normal human beings. You know, they're respectful. They're just stand-up guys. You very rarely see guys like just being complete douches. Like
Oh,
I
100%.
don't think I've heard very rarely have I heard a story about guy just being complete ass. Like,
Yeah.
so it's very similar to what you say, just stand-up guys, humble, just
Yeah.
normal guys.
No, it makes it way more fun to go to the rink when you're around those guys too. I mean, a lot of those kind of douchebag guys get cut out pretty early because
Yeah.
nobody wants to put up with them. So it's whether it's organization or teammates, nobody's trying to put up with that every day when they go to the rink. I mean, same as when you're going to a regular job, you don't want to have to go in and deal with somebody every day, right?
Yeah.
It's annoying the heck out of you. So it's something that I think in the hockey world, you just can't do that. I mean, you might be able to get away with it in the job world because you're the only person that's classified to do that, or they're short
Right.
staffed. But I mean, in hockey, there's always somebody that can replace you, so it's not too hard to replace you if you're acting like that.
Now, have you gotten the chance to speak with like Vasilevsky? Like, has he given you any pointers at all? Like, are there any guys in the NHL that are playing in the show right now um that are kind of like mentors to you that kind of help you out along the way?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really talk to Vasilevsky much. I got to watch him a lot. Played against him in one of the scrimmages, which was unbelievable.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty cool to do like all that kind of stuff. The one guy I really talked to in San Jose was James Reimer, which was really cool because growing up, he was one of my favorite
Journeyman.
goalies. Yeah, oh, exactly. So I mean, he ran me through a lot of stuff. He was awesome. Another guy that reached out to me while I was at World Juniors was Hutchinson. Um,
Yep.
Unbelievable guy. I mean, he took time out of his day to send me a huge message. It was right after the game where I kind of got lit up, and he was kind of saying, "You know what? Like, keep doing your thing. Like, you got this." All that kind of stuff. And then um, my agent actually got Cujo to reach out to me, so that was pretty cool as
No
well.
way, dude.
So that was a really
That's
cool
so
one. Yeah.
sick.
No, exactly. So having those guys has been real cool. And then I did my draft interview with for Florida with Roberto Luongo. So that
Nice,
was a
dude.
cool one as well to be
That's
able
so
to kind of
sick.
talk to him about some stuff, and um, was able to send him a text when he got put in the Hall of Fame, which was probably the coolest thing I've been able to do in my
Yeah.
life. So I mean, there's some pretty cool things like that that I've been able to do, and very fortunate.
Do guys get like starstruck when they see like those kind of guys? Like obviously you grow up and you probably watched Roberto Luongo like do his
Oh yeah.
thing, right? Like do guys coming up like kind of get starstruck kind of like normal fans do?
I mean, I personally do. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's yeah, I mean, I think when you're seeing guys like that, I mean, it's pretty special.
Yeah.
We had Pittsburgh come and scout one of our games this year, and Jason Spezza gave us our pregame talk. And I mean, when you got a guy like that in the room, that's pretty
Dude.
cool.
Yeah.
Like he's unbelievable. I mean, I
Yeah.
saw him play when I was younger too. I mean, I would have been trying to think, like I would have been real young when I went to go see him play. I probably would have been like 8, 9 years old, and I was in
Yeah.
Ottawa seeing him play. So I mean, it's pretty cool seeing stuff like that. And then him being the guy that he is coming into our room and doing that. So it was pretty cool. I mean, there's lots of guys in San Jose too, like Joe Thornton. That was a funny one too. I
Jumbo
mean,
Joe, dude.
I was sitting there eating my meal, and he comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, I'm Joe Thornton." Like I didn't know who he
You're like,
was.
holy shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like nice to meet you, but you don't have to say that, man. Like
Yeah.
I know who you are.
That's so
I mean,
sick.
it's pretty cool seeing guys like that. I mean, uh, yeah, there's you can the list can go on and on. I mean, especially in Tampa. I mean, you got Hedman,
Yeah.
Cirelli, Chernak, Kucherov, like it again. The list just goes on and on and on there. And I mean, even the coaching staff. I mean, seeing John Cooper. I mean, that's pretty cool too. Because you watch all the post game post game conferences, and he's always I found been a very good speaker in that. So to be able to
Yeah.
listen to him talk and kind of display stuff it was really cool, and to be on the ice with him. There was one drill we were doing like a shootout, and I was bagged by that point, and I just kept battling in that and battling. And he came up to me after, gave me a pat on the pads, and goes like, "Way to battle, man! That was awesome." And that was pretty cool for me too. I mean, having a
Yeah,
coach
that's
like
sick,
that
dude.
say that. So, um, I mean, there's stuff like that that just it's really cool and it sticks with you.
You mentioned Kucherov, man. He absolutely stole the All-Star game this year. I was laughing
Oh, that
so
was
hard, dude,
hilarious.
during that
But,
passing drill. I was like, dude, like, have you gotten the opportunity to kind of see how he operates, like
oh yeah,
in the
oh
locker
yeah,
room and throughout the
and
facility?
he's a pretty quiet guy, and he goes out, he does his stuff, and um, his skill is just it's ridiculous. Like I think
Yeah,
he is one of the most skilled guys in the league. Like
100%, dude.
it's he's top three for sure. There's no question about it. His skill is uh, like there was a one drill he was doing on me, and he probably scored 90% of the shots. He just pick it up, come curl down, and score. And it was like I kept on adjusting. I kept on like, what the heck am I doing
Yeah,
wrong? But he was just putting it in the perfect spot every time. Um, and then there was another time we were doing a scrimmage, and he came down, skate like barely even striding, just kind of like sea cutting, looking around, does his backhand saucer pass, cross ice right to Hedman's tape, and then Hedman one touches it backdoor to Sorelli. I've never seen anything like it. I remember looking at the coach going like, "What the heck just happened?" And I was very happy to be on the bench for that one because I was
Dude,
like, oh, it was
they
crazy.
make it look so like he makes it look so easy, and what's so crazy about it is like even at this point in the NHL, like what he's doing, I would still say he's underrated. Like
Oh, he
you
is.
don't
Totally.
you don't hear a
Never
ton
hear his
about
name.
like
Yeah.
yeah, you don't hear his name like you hear the
Yeah.
Austin Matthews, you hear the at this point Jack Hughes, Connor
Yeah.
McDavid, Draisaitl, like Pasta. You
Oh,
don't
100%.
hear Kucherov a whole hell of a lot, which is crazy because he's like I agree, probably top 3 in the NHL.
Yeah. He like just getting to watch him day in, day out. I mean, the skill is off the friggin' charts. Like it's crazy. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's something that you watch and you're like, holy smokes, like he is
Yeah.
good. Like the stuff that he would do, just the way he'd sling the puck around was crazy. Like his playmaking ability is crazy. His shot's crazy. He's just so good. Like it's
Yeah.
you look at him and you're like, what's bad about you, right? So it's yeah, I mean, and you could say the same about that for multiple players, but I mean, he's on a different level of it. So
Yeah. Man, I got one more question for you, and this kind of a newer thing that we do, and we've had a lot of like parents reach out, and especially now that we have junior guys and college
yeah,
guys, they want to know, as like what it took to get to the level that you're at. For kids that are coming up in the game now, especially as a goaltender, they're interested in playing goalie. Um, what would be your biggest piece of advice to them if they ultimately want to play at a high level, junior college, even high school for all,
yeah.
for the normal kid? Like what would be your biggest piece of advice as far as training, on ice things, off the ice things that they can do to really improve their game?
I mean, I think you got to learn. You got to educate yourself because you're going to have a lot of goalie coaches most likely, and not everything a goalie coach says is right at the end of the day. And you got to take what works best for you. Because I mean, like there could be a goalie coach that helped Vasilevsky get to the NHL, but he's good at coaching a guy like Vasilevsky. He might not be able to help me do what I need to do. So I mean, you got to kind of learn a little bit on your own where you can educate yourself to what works best for you and try things out. And I mean, take everything and listen to everything. Don't that doesn't mean ignore people.
Right.
There's no reason to do that. But if you can kind of learn how to learn what helps you and learn what makes you a better goalie, that's what's going to help you the most. I mean, and I think the number two thing, which I mean, probably tied for number one with that, is you just got to work hard. I mean, you got to come into the rink every day, and every day's got to be a work day. If I would have known how hard working hard meant, because when you're in minor hockey, you think you're working hard. You go out there, you sweat, you think you're working hard, and you might be working hard. You might be. Don't get me wrong, but there's a different element of working hard at the next level. It's working smart too. I mean, you got to be able to put effort in and also think about what you're doing. You can't just go through the drill and be like save puck, save puck, save puck. It's got to be
Right.
okay. Hands here, eye level here, like stance here, doing this, doing that, out here now, and you got to be thinking like about everything, and that's working hard. I think it might not be taking 3,000 reps and sweating until you're dead, but it might be thinking about every decision and taking 10 shots. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's about working hard, working smart, and I think those three things will really help you out.
Yeah, man. Awesome advice, and that's usually the common denominator for all you guys. It's like just work hard, work
Yeah,
hard, love the game, watch the game, take everything in. Incredible advice, man. And honestly, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to come on the show. And I love seeing that you're having so much success and having an awesome season, you and the
thank you.
boys. And definitely let the family know I say hi. And
I will
I
for
love
sure.
having your pops on there. I get to follow
Oh
everything, and it's
yeah.
awesome, man. But again, I can't thank you enough for taking the time, dude.
Awesome. No, thank you very much for having me.
Awesome, man. That is Ben Gaudreau of the Erie Otters, goaltender, um, currently of the Tampa Bay Lightning, prospect. Unbelievable interview, and can't thank him enough. That wraps up episode 33 of Drop the Mitts Hockey Podcast, brought to you in partnership by Primetime Production. Hope you guys all have a great rest of the week, and stay safe out there. Take care, guys.